Hi everyone, Deb here. I'm here making a project for the Potomac Beads treasure, Best Bead Box treasure box. And I did an unboxing for that, which I will put an iCard for right up in the right hand corner, I guess it is. So I did use these and I put some of the beads I didn't use into here, but I didn't use any of these. I used 5 leaves and all 5 of the bales. I wasn't going to use these goldish color beads here, but I needed them to hold the bales in place. And I used just one each of these blue rounds under the bale to help stabilize it. I put 2 on and then I took 1 off because it only needed the 1 if I had these 2 on either side. Let me bring you down a little bit. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you, well, let me put this way. I did use the pearls and the crystals. Let's see, and I used some of the clear beads, which are the clear rondelles, which are in here, and the beading wire. What I brought in from my own stash were some jump rings. I had this mix of coppery jump rings, a couple eye pins there for this bit at the very end of the necklace, and these butterfly links I found in my stash as well. I'm going to put them in the Potomac bead box here just to get it out of the way for now. And also wire guardians and crimp tubes. So we're going to make this piece first. Okay, let me put this light up. I hope you can see it's glaring a little bit. And I am going to apologize up front. My neighbor is having his house rebuilt and they're moving dirt today so far, and it's in backup beeping may be heard. So we're going to show you how to do that, and then it's pretty easy, but there is one little trick to it, and I'll show you what I did wrong on that one that I'll have to take apart. And then I'm going to show you how I did the leaves because I could not, all those jump rings I have that are thinner ones, even, I couldn't get through these leaves. So I'm going to show you how I did the leaves with the head pins to make a pair of earrings, which we're going to put on like this. Boy. Like that, and then have this dangle from there. We'll do a wire wrap loop just like I did on these and hook it right on to the bottom of these eye pins. And they have the gold, the clear, the pearl, and the Montana blue crystal bicones. I actually had made this little dangle. I was originally only going to use 3 of the gold, and they were going to be up here, like, well, I was originally only going to have 1 here on this piece here, and then I don't know why I had it in my head I needed a dangle. I don't, because it's a toggle clasp, not a lobster claw, and also this is long already, so I'll save that piece. I can't use it for the earrings because I need a loop for the leaf to hang off of, but we'll figure something out. Maybe I will make another pair of earrings later. And then I have all kinds of tools here. The only things we're going to need for right now are going to be crimpers and cutters, and I did put a tiny little jump ring on the end of this butterfly and the end of this butterfly, because on this piece I didn't need it. I just did the wire guardian right and crimped right onto the butterfly, because these don't have to lay particularly flat, right? They're round beads for the most part. I do usually when I lay it down, these flop the right way anyway, but this piece has to lay flat. It's very easy to do. Oh, I also brought in just a few bugle beads. All right, let's just get started. So what we're going to do is we are first going to put on a crimp and a wire guardian. And actually I have a mistake on this side, which I'll share with you once we get this one done. And I'll take it apart and redo it off camera. And I was being so careful, but stuff happens. And we're going to put this back through the other side of the wire guardian. This is about 10" of the beading wire. You could also do this using beading thread, and you still might want to use the wire guardian. Now I don't want to go into the crimp tube just yet because we are going to hook this first into this 4mm jump ring that's on here. Now we actually need to, I did this a little wrong. Let me take the crimp off for a minute. We have to pull this so that both sides are about even, because we're going to go back up. These are 2-hole beads, some of them, and they're really cool. And I still have some left. I'm going to use them for another project. That one I might just do a project share instead of a tutorial, because you know I am not the best at tutorials, but I promised I'd do tutorials, so I'm going to try. All right, now they don't have to be exactly even, but pretty close. Now let's bring our crimp tube in. It is important to not cross the wires here. So once I get down here, you want them to be flat in there. That is important because, and it's going to be important on the other side too. And also, forgive my hand, I have no idea how I scratched myself yesterday. So that wants to cross, and I don't want it to. Let me make sure. Let me see. If I pull this, yeah, no, this has to go on this side. Ugh, come on, come on. There we go. That looks crossed to me, doesn't it, to you? See? It is crossed. We do not want it crossed. There. All right, now we can go ahead and crimp that. And all we do, I'm actually going to push the wire guardian in just a little bit. Boy, that's glary. Sorry. You see the wire guardian? Let me pull it back out again because it looks like it's crossing again. All right. I had it right the first time. So I pushed in the wire guardian. They tell you really not to do that, but I find that the little edges of the wire guardians can be scratchy sometimes. I'm going to come in with the second part of my crimping pliers where there's looks like a pair of lips, kind of. There's a ridgy in there, and I'm just going to push down. And then you get a little, you know, horseshoe looking thing, right? And then what I like to do is come in with the front part. These are a standard size crimping plier, and these are a number 2, 2x2 crimp tube. They're my favorite. They're pretty versatile, and they will work with this design as well. All right, now we're going to put first this gold bead, and that kind of brings it together, brings them together. I'm going to move this over so I can get better in frame. And we're going to try and keep these from crossing, especially right here. So that one has to be over there. There. There, like that. All right, now we can separate. We're going to put one, I think these are like a 6mm what did they call those? Bugle bead. If you have something like tubelets, they would work too, but just something, you just need something to get them going from the big bead that's pulling the wires together up to go into the 2 holes. Now we're going to put 1 each of the pearls on, and the nice thing about having, we're going to try, maybe we are. The nice thing about having one side done is I can see the design, right? I can see the design. And it's pretty easy. It's just, my concept here was, before I had the sun pieces, the gold down here, was going to be earth, sky, and sun. And it sort of still is, but the leaves and things and the copper were going to be my earth, before I realized I had to have the sun down here too. But the plants need sun to grow, so that's my story and I'm sticking with it. And then leading up to the sky, which is all these blues here and a little bit of green. And then again, this finishing with the sun and the sparkliness of it. So that was my concept. And I knew I wanted to use the leaves, and I wanted to use these pearls and Montana blue bicones. The addition of the clears came later, and I think I just needed something on the end here without just going right from the gold to the butterfly, something like that. All right, so now we're putting on a dark blue, being careful not to cross those wires over. I don't want them crisscrossed, or we will have a problem. I almost lost one of these beads. I shouldn't even tell you this. Right before I came on. Uh-oh. There we go. I should have checked all the holes. That's another thing, right? Now see, I think, okay. It's okay. We're good. As long as they're not turning, like going like this in between the beads. Okay, now we're going to do the bicones. And I'm going to go ahead and thread these all on. I think I'll do one more with you, and then I'll come back, because you don't need to just see me string stuff, right? It wants to turn. And the reason I have a little jump ring there is to help this lay flat. Otherwise, it would be on its side, right? I don't want it on its side, and that's kind of the mistake I made on the other one. I have a jump ring on one end, and I forgot to put it on the other end. Yeah. Anyway. Bad me. Okay, now am I twisting that? I am a little bit. I was almost twisting it. Okay, so I'm going to just continue doing, and I want them all facing up, like, because I was, like, again, the concept was earth going up to the sky, sky to the sun. That was my concept, and the butterflies flitting around in the sky, you know, with the sun shining bright on them. So let me finish stringing these, and I'll come back and we'll do the crimping part together. Okay, so now I have everything strung, and the key here is to kind of keep your tension the same, because if you pull one of these, see, it goes lopsided, so you need to pull the other one too, or loosen it back up. You want them to be kind of flat like that, but with no space or very little space in between the end pieces. So now I'm going to put a crimp bead on and run both of these through it. These number 2 crimps will allow 3 pieces of wire through. It would not do 4. I tried it. And so now on one of these only, and it doesn't really matter which one. However, we have to make sure constantly that, I'm just going to put that aside for now till after we crimp, that it doesn't skew the beads in the design out of sync, out of order here, like, you know, lopsided. It doesn't make them go lopsided. And I'm just putting this through the other end of that one wire guardian. And I'm going to get my pliers because I need to pull that tighter. But I don't want to make it too tight, and I don't want to go back through the crimp just yet. Actually, I'm going to hook it on to the little jump ring I have attached to this butterfly. I'm going to push that wire down. It's a little tricky. Oops, especially when I don't have my specky things on to see. Anyway, yeah, go in there. There we go. So I'm going to push that all the way down. I don't want to push that too close together yet. And now, where's my other pliers? I'm going to pull that wire down again because I need it to be closer to the crimp. And we're going to pull this one tight as well. And I'm actually going to put the one that went through the wire guardian back down through the crimp bead now. Maybe. And if I can see. There we go. And I'm going to go through the gold bead. I just feel like it gives me a little more stability in the piece, but yeah, maybe not. But I don't want to go through either one of those tube bugle beads. All right, that took me a little finagling, but I have a piece of wire coming out over here, which I'm going to pull tighter because I need that to bring the wire guardian down close to the bugle. Down close to the crimp bead. And then I just gave a gentle tug on this to make sure everything's still in alignment. Let me pull that one more time, make sure it's snug. And, oops, there. So it's going to lay like this, hopefully. Hopefully. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is crimp, and then we'll cut. And I just keep a hold of everything. Okay, before I crimp, now I'm going to actually squish the wire guardians ends a little bit closer together. Then give it another tug on both wires, making sure my piece is straight, which it's a little off. There we go. Okay. And now let's crimp. So again, we're just going to go in, put it in the second set of teeth, if you will, the second hole in the crimp pliers. Sorry, it's so blurry. And just want to make sure. Well, you know what, because we have a jump ring on there, I can take this off and flip it around if it's a little weird. If I didn't have that, I couldn't do that. All right, I think we're pretty good. Everything seems to be in the right place. Give it one more tug on each of them and crimp. So now I just crimped 3 wires, and I do have my little divot. Wow. I'm so sorry. There we go. And now we're going to just squish it down a little bit around it. And then we are going to cut. We're going to try and get as close to that crimp tube as we can with the cutters. So you need a good pair of cutters. And then we have one more to do. And this one, we're going to try and cut as close to the gold bead here as we can. And that should do it. And then I always do the finger rub over test. Now let's see how it lays. There we go. And that will come over here. This one is a little off because I didn't put a jump ring right here, and I should have. And then I do have 2 medium-sized jump rings on this bar, end on the toggle, and that just gives a little more, like this is one piece on an eye pin. It gives it a little more room for the clasp to go into the toggle like that. The bar to go into the toggle. This one has a little piece of wire somewhere right here. I didn't quite get it close enough to the crimp tube, so let me try and push the good ones out of the way and get a little more off. There we go. So that's going to be the necklace, and then I'm going to show you how to do these charms on earrings next. Let me move this out of the way. All right, so we are going to wire wrap these. First, let's wire wrap these closed. I didn't bring ear wires over, but we're going to wire wrap them. I prefer doing that. On here I did not, because they're a little longer and I didn't have enough room on the eye pin. But normally I prefer to wire wrap. So I just, okay, my pliers, you have to know your tools. My pliers, if I put them at the tip right about there, I know that I can normally, depending on also the diameter of the wire, I can normally, for like 22 to 18 gauge, I can usually get 3 wraps, maybe 20 gauge. Okay, actually I started to wrap that over, but I want my round nose pliers now, and I'm coming back around, and I know probably a little less than 1/4 of an inch is where I usually like to make my loops. Sometimes I make them bigger. I'm going to leave my pliers in. Actually, I'm going to reposition just so it's more comfortable for me. Bring them around. I didn't quite make my what do you call that, lollipop properly. So we're coming around. I'm going to pull this flat up against the, wow, I had to go back up. There we go. Maybe if I take it off those, you can see how this is. And now I'm going to hold that with my, these are pointed needle nose chain nose pliers. They're flat on the inside. Or you can use, I often use bent nose pliers to hold them at the very tip. Anything just to hold it in place. Before we wrap it though, we're going to, no we aren't, we'll open an ear wire, because I was going to say we could hook it onto the ear wire next, but we're not going to. All right, so I'm going to hold it with my bent nose actually, and take the tip of my needle nose, chain nose, and just start wrapping. And I guess I'm only going to get 2 wraps. I lied. So we'll try and do only 2 wraps on the other one. I like them to be consistent. All right, so now we just get in as close as we can and snip. And then you have to come back in and tuck your little tail in. And be careful, because I actually have a crystal at the top. And then the other thing is, make sure these ends are facing the same direction. Ear wires, and it's not quite perfect. Ear wires usually face front to back with their loop, so these need to be facing side to side. And let's see, here's the other one. Let's do that one too. Just do a bend, bring our pliers in, and this one I should get 3. I did it more accurately. Bring it over, hold it like this, wrap this, wrap this around. Now before I go any further, I want to check the holes, and they are about the same. That's important, because especially with earrings, because if you don't check that, they could end up being different lengths. When I was just a beginner way back in like 2012, I probably still have some of those earrings here to rework because they were slightly off in their length. Now the other one, I did 2 wraps, so that's where I'm going to stop on this one as well. Let's see, go around a little more to the back because it's 2 on one side there. And get in as close as I can. I do need a different pair of cutters because I see other people getting in much closer than I do the first attempt, it seems. And yeah, I could use a different, and these are good, but they're I don't seem to be able to get as close as I do on some of the others. And I did get them facing the same way. I don't like my beads to have a lot of movement because they can wobble and break. All right, now we need to do this one. And for this one, all you do is, now see, the first thing is decide which way you want your leaves to face. So in this design, let me lay it back out here, figure out which is the front, this way. I have the center one facing that way, and then these 2 are facing that way. Well, they are, except this one's there. These 2, the point is kind of, the curve kind of goes like that, and then these 2 are facing back in, okay? So we have to decide which way do we want our earrings. I don't want them facing the same way, so, and I can put them either facing out or in, and it doesn't really matter that way because, as long as they're both opposite, because you can, once you have them on an ear wire, you can decide, do you want to wear them with the points facing out, or do you want to wear them with the points facing in towards each other. All right, so now the little ball on the end is perfect for these, and all we're going to do is hold that and push really hard up against the bead, and then bring it over the top a little bit, like that. Can you see that? Let's see if I can get a side view. Now, I actually tried at one point keeping this a little looser and then bringing this down over the front, and I thought it was awkward and it was unnecessary, and I like the way these dangle as it is. So now I'm actually just going to bring my round nose pliers in, and we're going to make a loop. We're going to go right about there on my pliers, and we're just going to go back over them, make a loop, and kind of bring it down the back. Now let's just make sure they're even, like on the same plane kind of thing. Put your round nose back in, bring this back up right about where it meets the top of the bead, like that. But we're actually going to do a couple loops too. So I'm going to put this back in my round nose. I don't want it quite down that far, so I'm going to actually get my needle nose chain nose and just give that wire a tug. Oops, maybe. Okay. Now I'm going to hold this with my bent nose, and we're going to take the needle nose and we're going to do 2 to 3 wraps around that wire. Kind of want it to be, it'll help hold it in place a little bit, but still have some movement. You can do it with your fingers if you want, and you can do messy wraps. Mine are sort of half messy, half half not. All right, and you want it to stop, oops, straighten it out, be the boss of the wire. I think I want one more because there is a space between the bead and the wire, and I don't really want that. Oh my goodness, I don't know what they're doing over there now, but it's really noisy. Sorry if you're hearing that. Okay, That's pretty good. And it has sort of a sloppy look to it, and I'm okay with that because it's organic. I don't usually do that, but I am this time. So now you just have to come in and snip that one in the back. How do we know it's the back? It's because it's where the little ball is not. The ball is on the front. And then we're just going to come in and squish that down so it doesn't catch in your hair or anything else. I really don't know what they're doing, but it is very loud. So since I closed that, we're going to have to open these. That's just easier on these to do that. If I'm doing a normal wire wrapped link, I would wire wrap it onto the eye pin, so I wouldn't have to open the eye pin. Now when I put them on the earrings, I will have to make sure that the leaf is facing the front. But pretty easy. We'll do it one more time just in case I didn't show it clearly or whatever. I know my camera is not the best, and I apologize, Potomac Beads, but that's what I have to work with. So, all right, making sure we keep that up at the top. Again, the little ball is there. We're going to bring the round nose in and do the loop coming towards the back. Push it down to the back. Make sure it's on the same plane there. Squish it together. And what I mean by that is the front wire and the back wire are right directly across from each other. Figure out where you want to do the loop. Bring the loop around. And it is a little wiggly, so you just have to be the boss and work with it. And I want that a little smaller, I think. There. I think, let's see. Could be a little bit smaller still. I was probably up too far on my pliers. I'm just putting it a little further down on the plier and pulling to make the loop a little smaller. All right, now I'm going to hold it with my bent nose, or you could hold it with anything you have. I would not recommend holding it with a round nose because it'll distort your wire, the shape of your wire. And then we're just going to wrap around again. And I'm usually very careful about not crossing over each other, but this is an organic kind of a wrap. That one could be a little snugger. I do take my pliers off and put them back on because otherwise you get all kinds of little bends on the end of your wire. I'm going to do the one more time. If I can, I'm having a little trouble seeing. Sorry, you probably are too. All right, and let's see how that looks. Straighten it up. Squish this in a little bit. And then, nope, I said straighten it up, but I made it a little crooked. Look straight from the front, that's what counts the most. Just bring that around to the back a little more. It just looks a little too bulky here to me, so I'm trying to make sure that's under the other loop. There we go. And now we're going to snip that end. In the back. In the back. And when you push that in, that actually helps stabilize that loop a little bit too. Let's see, is it a little bent? A little bit bent. All right. Still a little bent, huh? Okay, I think I got it. All right, so now, let's see. The eye pin opens over here. Just bring it open. Put on our bead, our leaf. Maybe open it a little more. Goodness me. Who knew it had to open it so wide? And then let's use these to close that back up. And I even give this a little tug there. Okay. And then we'll lay them out so that the front, I like them facing in towards each other. I'll be right back. I'll go get a pair of ear wires and we'll finish those up. Okay, everyone, so I am going to just open these ear wires. One sec. I need my specs again. It's bad when you can't see which side to open. I think it's this one. So these open in the back. Some don't. Some open the other way in the side. Now I want that little ball to face the front on the leaf. And I am sometimes directionally challenged, so I just wanted to make sure that they do face that way. So there's one. And then let's open this one up. And so the idea is, before I close it, I check. And that one is not, but something is making it turn, and I'll figure that out in a minute. I think my eye pin needs to be adjusted. So let's see. Yeah, see, the eye pin is not quite straight with each other up here, so I just need to bend that a little bit. And also maybe the piece we just did just needs to come up straighter a little bit. All right, let's see how they are. And there we have it, our lovely little pair of earrings. So not real hard, it's just a little tricky wrapping on top of the bead without going down the back, but bend it over the front and then it comes back around with the ball. So I hope you found that interesting. I have an extra little beady thing here and useful. If you did, let me know. I know I apologize for my camera, but I'm working with what I have now for the moment. At least I have a microphone, so I don't know how good it is, but at least it's probably better than it was. And I will, off camera, I have to fix this one because I didn't put, oh, well, maybe I have to fix them both. No, there we go. I maybe just have it hooked. There we go. All right, let me pull it down so you can see it. Isn't that pretty? Sparkly, earth tone, so it's earth, sky, and sun is what I'm calling it. Earth, sky, and sun. And it's just a beaded strung necklace, but with, yeah, I have to fix that for sure, with some 2-hole beads using the beading wire and crimping, wire guardians, crimps, and so forth. And I think it's really pretty. So if you like it, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And also, I will have links to Potomac Beads for their treasure kit bead boxes. If you are interested in subscribing, it is a subscription box monthly. And this is, they used to have just Best Bead Box and Best Bead Box XL, but now they have Best Bead Box is the treasure edition, which is, there's no instructions, there's no like patterns to follow. And then the other one, the Best Bead Box XL, is actually the kit box, and there are more instructions, kit piece, you know, like all the complete kits in there. Now, I do plan on doing another piece, but I originally planned on using more of these gold beads along with the little black beads and maybe some of the clear, and also a few of these. I was going to have it be more of an elegant piece with just the tans and the browns, and then actually I don't know if that's brown or purple. I think it's brown. That's purple. Anyway, you get the idea. I was going to use a few of these, but I had a lot more of these, so now I don't know. I'll see what I come up with. But I was going to use those, and then I was going to just make with the leftover purples and one blue and one green that were in here. I was going to make some kind of little keychain thing. Maybe I'll just do that because, but I was going to do bead weaving, a little bit of easy bead weaving. But I needed more of, let me see. Yeah, I need more of these. So, I'll see. Maybe I can fill in with some of the whites, or I didn't really want to use blue in that one, but I haven't used these yet. So maybe I'll figure something else different out. We'll see. But for now, this is the piece I made for this collaboration with Potomac Beads. Oops, I did that wrong. And thank you so much to Potomac Beads. And I will see you next time. All right? Thank you so much. Hugs, love, and peace.